Happy Tuesday, you Mavericks. And we're going to get into air. I know it sounds weird to think about and talk about, but we're going to talk about clean air, dirty air, maybe stuff in between. But before we do that, Katherine has a very special, gift surprise that we're giving away. So
Absolutely.
I'm going to flip it over to Katherine here.
Yeah. So we have some fun in our Mavericks of Senior Living Facebook group. So if you haven't joined the group, please do, because every once in a while we have some crazy little things that we give away. And we took a photo of our feet. How exciting.
But with socks on.
With socks on, and we're talking about air and feet. So maybe there's a correlation there. I'm not sure. So the Mavericks, Taylor, Francis, and I got some super adorable tie-dye socks from our fabulous Michelle Olson. And we put them on our feet and we asked our group to guess whose feet were who. And I was supposed to do this on Friday, but I'm doing it today so we can do it live on the air. We are letting you all know who the winner is. Miss Dale Carter, you guessed our feet right. Malou, you were very, very close, but just one off. And of course, you had Taylor's right. I'll tell you that. That's your clue. So Dale Carter, we're going to be sending you these super fun little socks from Poppyhead Tie-Dye. And we want to see them on your feet. So you're going to have to take a picture and post it in our group. So those of you who are not in our group yet, go join our group. We do lots of fun stuff over there.
And with that little segue, we're going to get back to talking about air. And our wonderful guest today, Tim Robertson, is the founder of Simple Clean Air. So, Tim, thanks for joining us and really coming on to talk about something I don't think about a lot, which was my air.
The air we breathe.
Yeah.
Yeah. Tim, welcome to the show. Can you tell our audience a little bit about who you are and your background and how you got to where you are today?
Yeah, so I'm Tim Robertson. My background is I went to school for engineering. I kind of figured out early on that I really enjoyed problem solving and trying to figure out solutions to problems. The industry I was in was oil and gas, and that industry has a huge focus on air. I know a lot of people can go either way on that, but they do really focus on air a lot and measure air and really pay attention to it. So a lot of the math and the science and the thoughts and conversation behind it was something that was natural to me. Last year, I lost my job with the industry downturn and was kind of forced into finding my way as an entrepreneur, which I had always thought I was going to do and was planning on doing. So it was kind of nice to get that kick in the pants to go figure it out. So along that path, I started consulting for companies, and one of the consulting jobs that I was doing was working with a construction company that worked in the senior living space, primarily in building the large senior living facilities. And we were doing a study on kind of how we can help the senior living community and understand what are the issues that are directly impacting it. In that study, we found this technology, and the technology is a GPS technology, which means Global Plasma Solutions. That's the company that manufactures the technology. It's a technology that's been around for a very long time. The idea behind it has been around for generations, but they've really perfected it and taken out all of the negative impacts that some of the earlier generations of the technology had. Mm-hmm. And so now you're getting just the benefits of that technology, which are ionizing the air and the impact that ionized air can have on air quality. So with that, I talked to the company and realized that this wasn't something that was being offered residentially. I couldn't find HVAC companies that were offering it on the ready. They were offering some of the competitors that still have some of the downfalls of the older technology. And so I decided that I'd just start a company and see if I can help my neighbors and help people around me get this technology.
That's pretty cool. That's really cool. So let's go back, because obviously you gave us a loaded stuff. You started as an entrepreneur, using air and gas and, and all these things. So what was let's go on, real quick, kind of segue to this entrepreneurship. What was that I mean, what was it like? What was that step for you to take? I mean, it sounds like it was a little forced, but there obviously had to be something there for you to dive into it.
Yeah. So, my dad was an entrepreneur, and so that really helped. My grandpa down the same path. So, we had this family bent towards that. My sister has gone down that path as well. And, it's something our family has done. So I kind of understood, that's where I would end up. And that's kind of something that I really enjoy doing. But what's gone on along that way is, trying to find something that I can offer that's unique, something that I have a unique skill set in, or have a unique way of thinking about, that allows me to provide other people value. So where I started was in consulting. My first consulting job had nothing to do with anything I had ever worked in before. It was in creating a online platform for primarily retired teachers, to benefit retired teachers. A guy that I know was going down that path, and he asked me to help him understand what it would take to take his idea and take it to something that can be implemented. So project management is something that I focused on really early on, and I approached that the same way and said, all right, I can do this. This is something I understand. In oil and gas, I had gotten all the way up through corporate planning. So I really feel like I had a good handle on understanding business and how business functions and what's needed for business. So I focused on what I knew and the structures that I was comfortable in and the structures that I trust, and I built a plan focused down that path.
Cool.
That was a fantastic experience, and a fantastic opportunity to get right after what is typically a devastating experience for most people. I have a really good friend that really pushed me down this path, and he's gone down the entrepreneur path, and he just provides that constant support and that constant feedback loop of okay, keep moving. Find the next solution.
Find the next solution. That's a maverick quality, is to take lemons and make lemonade. And so we love to hear that. So let's talk a little bit about the air quality product that you have to offer. We want you to share a little more with our audience about how it works, but just to give our audience a little bit of context, this is something that is actually being used in airlines right now. Is that correct?
Correct. Yeah. That's where it got its start. So right when coronavirus was becoming a large issue, the airline industry approached this company to see if it was something that they could utilize to help clean the air in airplanes and help really secure that space. And so they were given an opportunity to test their technology against COVID, which is a very rare thing for a company to get an opportunity on. I believe still to this date they're the only company in this space that has tested their product against COVID and shown that it works significantly. It has a deactivation rate of 99.4% after 30 minutes, and that's not just in the air; that's on the surfaces as well. So they tested it by putting COVID on the tops of different surface materials, underneath chairs, on walls, on carpet, and they found that it was highly effective at deactivating. Is kind of the term that they prefer to use, because you can't really kill something, but you're something that's not alive. Right. So deactivating the COVID virus.
Wow.
And we'll look at this though too. I mean, I forgot this on your site. I mean, you're talking. There's a lot of different things that like Norovirus is an issue, right? I mean, staph. I mean, these are. I mean, I think these look good. I don't know enough about it, but to me, it looks. I mean, looks better than having no solution, right? Is how I look at this.
Yeah, it's a fantastic technology. I mean, it's something that's been shown in nature to be highly effective. Air ions are something that was found in nature. It's something that you can feel the direct result of after a thunderstorm, standing next to a waterfall, in the forest. Those are places where and in high altitude. Those are places where air ions exist in higher quantities. And there isn't science that says that this has a impact on an individual person's direct health or mental health. I'm a big proponent of seeing both sides of the story. And so, one of the videos that I have on the site is from this guy, Veritasium, and he talks about do air ions have an impact on mental health? And he goes through and kind of says, look, there's a lot of studies that say, yes, it does. But when you look at the overall studies and you look at the meta-analysis, no, you can't claim that this has a large impact on mental health. But where we have seen the science say that it does have a large impact is on your physical environment, directly the air that you breathe. So the big impacts, killing all these viruses is fantastic. That's absolutely the most currently dominant thing in our minds. But it has other magnificent impacts as well. Its impact on smoke and particulate matter in the air. There's studies that say
Can we go real quick, try to catch up? What's a particulate? Just what does that mean?
Sorry, yeah.
No, you're
sorry,
good.
This is where my engineering background. That's just something we talk about all the time. Particulate matter is just things that float in the air.
Okay.
So things that have a small enough particle size that they can be kept just floating in the air.
So let's say that, and everyone's like, well, I got a filter in my furnace or my HVAC, right? Why do I need this? Like, what does that mean? Like, doesn't that catch the particulates? I mean, right?
So there's a system for measuring your filter's efficiency. And that's come under, a lot of attention lately is, the higher MERV, MERV is the rating system for air filters. The higher MERV rating that you have, that means the smaller particle size that filter can actually grab.
Oh, so I could think I have a good filter, but if it's got a poor rating, it might not be doing what I think it's doing, basically.
Correct. Yeah, definitely.
Okay.
But in HVAC systems, you have to take into account that your HVAC system was manufactured with a specific threshold that it can handle. So as you move your MERV filter into the higher categories to catch smaller particles, you make it harder on the fan that's inside your system to actually move the air. So the suction pressure that's coming into that fan gets reduced because you've introduced a constriction, a spot, a narrow spot in your airflow, which is very helpful in catching a bunch of this particulate matter, but harmful to your, the motor and the fan that you have in that system.
Interesting. So
it's a balancing act, right? It's a balancing act. A lot of older furnaces really just can't handle the HEPA filter rating, MERV level filters, and so you have to find a way to improve your air quality when your system can't handle that. A new furnace is a pretty expensive investment.
Interesting. Wow. Yeah.
So I want to make sure that our audience really got what you said
earlier
about the idea that it can deactivate the coronavirus that we're all dealing with right now, COVID-19, and its variants, or just this particular one? Do we know?
I don't know that answer. The way in which it deactivates it, and all of this is stuff that's on the website in the About page. You can watch all the videos where they talk about how it does the deactivating. I would assume that it would work, but I don't know that answer. The way in which it's doing the deactivating is by attacking the shell that's encapsulating the virus and ruining that outer shell, so that the virus can't live. Yes, so that the virus can't be active.
And that the studies were actually done, even testing things that were maybe put under a chair, like not something just sitting out on a counter.
Correct. Yeah. So the ions in the air float around pretty randomly. And so, they don't need, they need access to a space. So sealed container, they're not going to get inside that sealed container.
Right.
But they float around randomly in the air and can make their way to, these small crevices and small spots. And this technology was initially developed to clean air handling systems, to keep the the heater registers on air handling systems cleaner, so that they would maintain their efficiency. And so they would, make dust particles and any mold or anything like that. It would kill those things and make them of a size that they would just get blown on. And so this technology actually, its original purpose was, increase efficiencies of your heating and cooling systems.
But Katherine, even with the coronavirus, look at all the other things that, from that third party testing. I mean, that's the part to me is, norovirus is an issue. Let's bring it back to senior living. I mean, that's an issue in senior living, right? Is noro outbreaks. I mean, previous to COVID, noro and flu outbreaks were equally as like, okay, we've got to prevent this from happening, right? So to see the fact that it can attack noro, I mean, MRSA, even, these are some nasty things that it can have an impact on.
Yeah, this is it. It's mind blowing, which is why I wanted to say it again for our audience, so that really what they're hearing is the impact of this. And it's a small unit, right? Is it unobtrusive? How does it get installed? What does it look like if you were to put it into a senior living or even a residential home? How does that work?
Yeah, so it's a very small unit. I've chosen to install, primarily this what's called the FC48 unit, which is a unit sized for most commercial HVAC units. And I've done that because the cost of the smaller units it doesn't make a difference. I'd much rather have the additional ions in the air than the very low dollar savings of going with the smaller units. So you take this unit and you remove access to the blower area. You install the unit directly next to the blower, the blower is the fan that's inside your air handling unit. So one note to all your listeners is if you have radiant heating and this unit itself can't be directly applied to your radiant heating solution. You have to have a forced air handling system.
Okay.
And so you install it right there. You wire it into the panel on your unit, on your HVAC system, and then you close it back up, and that's it. It's a pretty quick install. It's something that's extremely low, and there's low impact on a resident when we come to install it. We're usually in and out in 30 minutes, and the only place that we need access to is your air handling unit.
That's pretty quick. That's fast and easy. Wow.
Yeah.
So does this replace, and maybe it's in addition to, because we're humans and we want to see the tangible cleaning of a table, but if left without an actual spraying down and cleaning a table or a chair, this would still do the same level of work. Is that correct? I don't know the direct science on that, and definitely can't say that this can replace using those other solvents. I think you can lean on kind of the CDC guidelines there and say this isn't a problem that can have one grand solution. It's a problem that needs many solutions all implemented simultaneously.
And I like that. It's almost an added layer, right? I mean, besides the hard surface wiping and using bleach and water and all the other recommended cleaning solutions from the CDC, this gives another tool in the tool belt, right? That can help, again, stave off and slow down and do all the things that we've been working for so long in the industry is slowing the infection rate or slowing the spread, right?
Yeah.
I mean, if you think about the ions, this can be a really dumb question, but do we have more free ions at a higher altitudes than if we do at lower altitude? Like if we're, at 8,000, 9,000 feet versus 5,000 feet, or is it not that cut and dry?
What you covered there is one of the primary generators of ions. And so, hold all other variables consistent. Don't allow thunderstorms to be taking place in one place and not the other. Okay. Don't allow a waterfall to be in one place but not the other. Okay. One of the things that generates ions is UV radiation. And so at higher altitudes, you have higher levels of UV radiation.
Right.
So by direct result, you have more air ions at higher elevation.
Interesting. Right.
And I'm going to ask an even dumber question. Not that your question was dumb, but can you describe to our audience the importance of an ion? What's the impact of good or bad ions in the air?
Yeah, so air ions are, from all the studies that I have been able to find online and utilizing other people that have done research on it, is negative air ions show a significant benefit to everything. I have not found a single study that says it has a negative benefit. Positive air ions is something where there's a lot of anecdotal evidence out there. It's not based in any science where they're saying that it's bad for this, bad for that. But I have not been able to locate, and I've spent significant amount of time because that concerned me. I was like, well, okay, I've got this evidence on the negative air ions, positive air ions. What are they doing? And I have not found a spot where it said anything, anything that I give value to, any scientific studies or anything like that that have said that positive air ions are bad. Both air ions are very useful in destroying or deactivating pathogens.
Okay.
Okay.
And they're very useful.
Okay. And also, do they help breathing issues? So they help just to destroy or deactivate the pathogens. But what would a human notice?
You'll notice, the first thing you'll notice is particulate matter. So particles that are in the air, these tiny little particles that are in the air. First thing you'll notice, on the houses that I've installed this thing on, the very first thing that everybody says to me is, I don't see the sunlight, the rays of sunlight that come through your window. I don't see those in my house anymore. And that's a direct visual reference of the particulate matter in your air has been reduced, because what those beams are when they're coming through your window is the sun hitting those small particles that are in your air. So those get reduced. That's the very first thing that I've had everybody tell me that they've noticed. I've installed it on houses that use wood burning fireplaces. And the big notice from them was that the smell of the wood burning fireplace was gone. It was completely eliminated from their house within the first week. And they're continuing to use that furnace, which is, usually those are placed right in the center of the house, and they have not noticed that smell come back even when they're, running their fireplace.
That would make me sad. I love the smell of burning wood. But I'm a Colorado girl, so
yeah.
Maybe not in your house every day,
I don't know.
Okay, all right. Fair enough.
There's a piece that goes along with that. The smell is fantastic, but at the same time, what you're breathing in is the exhaust from that fireplace.
That's a very good point. So I should enjoy my fire smell outdoors with some s'mores and maybe a glass of wine.
There you go.
I can do that. That works.
Followed up by fresh air and some more of that Colorado fresh air.
There you go.
Well, I think this is absolutely fascinating, and I would love to put a call to action out there just for our senior living viewers to take this into consideration, see if it's something you'd want to test in your facility. I mean, this sounds like this could be really amazing. I would love to see in a year from now how it is impacting the levels of number of people getting ill in places that are using this, in senior living in particular, but in any of your data. So we'll ask you to come back. One of the questions that we always ask our guests is, who do you consider a maverick in your life? So
a maverick in my life, I would say, happened pretty early on. My first engineering job out of college was with a startup company, and I was, one of the early employees and given way more responsibility and jobs than a typical brand new employee engineer in the workforce. And so I leaned heavily on this local consulting company here in Denver, and their people took a completely different approach to consulting. They approached me as they were trying to help me understand what my problems were and try to understand, how to solve all of those problems versus just the problems that we had hired them to solve from an engineering standpoint.
Mm-hmm.
They helped educate me. They took me on, site visits to other projects that they had done to, show examples of how things need to be, the benefits of different engineering outputs and the benefit of the engineering method. And I really see them as a maverick in my life because it was a completely different approach to treating someone else. And, it's driven me, in the formation of this company. This company purely is, I'm here to try to get this technology out. I'm not here to, try to make some huge economic benefit from this technology. I want this technology to get out, try to help people understand, their problems and, understand their problems deeply, not just the superficial, top level of their problem, what they're willing to talk to me about in the first conversation. Look at what they're trying to do in their life and in their role and trying to, make them better. And I found that by doing that, by learning that early on and doing that over and over, I found people in general and companies, really appreciate that approach. It helps you not only identify problems, which is, usually the person you don't like in meetings, but instead focus on, identifying a problem and a potential solution or a group of potential solutions so that we can continue to focus on moving forward rather than, just getting stymied by, the problems that get identified.
That's fantastic. I love that. I'm a firm believer we got to work the problem, right? There are no challenges that aren't solvable. It's how you work through it. So at the Mavericks here, we're all about action. So we love that approach is, we want people to voice their challenges, their problems, because that's the only way we can move forward to get better is attacking and knowing what they are. So that's really cool to hear. Really, really, really great.
Yeah. And so what action would you like our audience to take?
I think, go to my website, see if it's a technology that you're interested in. To me, it's a technology that's used or that can be applied and should be applied in everybody's house. We had a terrible fire season this last year. We're likely going to have one again next year. The reduction in smoke here is, that's a big negative impact on people's, health. And this is a way to mitigate that. So beyond just the COVID aspect, I think this technology has a really good place inside everybody's home. And so either use my website and sign up and, let's get this technology installed. Let's start getting your family healthy, or find someone else. To me, this is about helping as many people as possible. So find someone that does install this technology. This technology has significant advantages over some of its competitors. I really do stand on this is the right technology out of all the options. So use me, use someone else, just get it installed.
And I will say 1 second, I was sure about playing the video through this, but go check this video out. It is ridiculously crazy cool about smoke within this kind of container that is basically removed by the GPS. It's blew my mind. I mean, that was one of the things that I found the most interesting was literally watching the smoke just disappear. Like it's really cool. So go check it out. It's at the 2031 mark. I put up here, and I'll put reference in the show notes as well too. But it's a must check out to just kind of understand what this thing can really do. Because I was like, wow.
Yeah,
that's great. So if you have questions, reach out to Tim. His email's right here on the video, his website, and we'll have all that in the show notes as well.
Yeah.
Tim, such a treat to speak with you today, and we're really looking forward to speaking with you again, at least in the next 12 months, and see what the data is showing.
And kind of track your progress and all the things that I think this will benefit. I think this is going to have, I always say unintended consequences is one of the things when you make decisions, right? But this is going to have an unintended benefit of just overall healthier environments for not just for our older adults, but for anyone that's taking this into account. So really appreciate you coming on and sharing your knowledge and information. So thank you.
Yeah, my pleasure. Thank you for the opportunity.
So, and I'm going to give a little sneak peek. We've got a little surprise coming tomorrow morning at 8 a.m. So join us. I know it's a little early Mountain Time, 10 o'clock East Coast, but you're going to want to join us as we've got a very special guest from Onshoots who's going to be with us tomorrow at 8 a.m. A little pop-up show that Katherine and I are going to do. So until then, stay healthy, stay safe, and always remember to take action and push your limits.